Alright, working on this Nissan D21 I got for free out of a field today. Y'all come on with us. We having that daggum problem where anything over half throttle is spitting and sputtering. So we're going to throw a map sensor at it. We're going to throw a TPS at it. We're going to see if that changes anything. Y'all come along with us. You got to get this daggum thing off right here. Get these bolts done. Get this took off. Alright, we got that pan off. We got the clips off of this thing. Looks like we're missing a piece there. I don't even know what the heck that is. I'm gonna pop this whole system off. Got to take a bolt out there, and I think there's a couple more bolts down there. I'll get back with you once I got that off. Got them bolts off. This thing should technically just raise up on out of here. I think there's a hose stuck to the bottom of the thing somewhere where I'm gonna have to, cut myself. Get it off. There we go. Got that thing off. Lay this right here by this hood. And for anybody that saw the last videos, like, oh my God, he dropped that hood on the ground after it done got ran over. You could have saved it. This thing was crinkled in half, and I literally jumped up and down on it and got it straight enough to hook back to the truck. But this truck was previously already totaled, and you can literally see where I've beat the heck out of the hood, and everything on it is just bent to crap. But I've already beat it with a hammer a bunch to get it to fit the first time. Then it got ran over again, so I'm probably just going to go to a junkyard and see if I can source a new one. Kind of done with this one. If you ever heard the term TBI engine and don't know what that means, they only did that for a few years in the late 80s, and what it was is like a carburetor with a fuel injector in it, and it's called a throttle body injection. That's what that stands for. A lot of old Chevys, old Fords from the late 80s, Nissans, they all have it, and it's pretty much junk when crap goes wrong on it. So we're going to try to button it up a little bit, clean it up, put a few sensors on, and see if it'll fix my problem. And if that don't fix my problem, I'm probably going to have to dump $500 into a manifold and carb kit off of an earlier model Datsun and swap that on there. Now, these trucks are pretty much like tanks. Like, the engines, you can't kill them because they don't have enough horsepower to hurt themselves. They got like 89 daggum horsepower, which ain't much, son. It'll barely pull the truck down the road with a dang lawnmower in the back of it. Just an old pawpaw rig. But I tell you what, they got 46 miles per gallon out of that dang 89 horsepower engine in the late 80s, son. Everybody's battling for gas. Everybody's battling for gas mileage now. All you gotta do is get you 89 Nissan, son. You get 40 miles of the gallon. But the biggest flaw of these late 80s trucks is that TBI injection, because they only did it for a few years because they knew it was literally that bad. So they literally only did it for like 3-4 years, I think. And then they just switched completely over to fuel injection. So they're hard to find parts for when they go out. And when they go, one little problem happens with them, it'll throw the whole truck off and start running like crap. And there's really nothing you can do to get parts for them. They make a few sensors, but other than that, like, you're going to have to go to a junkyard and pull another TBI that you don't know is good off of a truck that's been sitting there, probably with ethanol gas in it, and then swap it on yours. They make a carb kit from Weber that has a little flange adapter to adapt to your manifold, to where you can put a Weber carb that like goes on a Volkswagen Weber 2-stack on there, which is probably what I'm going to do. But I did some looking, and an older manifold off of a Datsun will fit on there. So if I change manifolds, I could just run a stock carb off an older Datsun. But I wouldn't gain as much horsepower, of course, as if I got a Weber, and it only has 89. So we need all the help we can get right now. This is the first sensor we're going to change. This is a MAF sensor, a MAF sensor. And harness already looks taped and questionable. So that's scary. I'm going to get some Phillips and get this off, and we'll check with you after. If you don't know what this is or don't have one of these mini ratchets, then I recommend you get one. They'll literally hold your bits, or they have sockets. So like these screws right here, obviously can't get in there with a screwdriver, and there's one on the very bottom. That's where this like literally comes into play. And also, if you're working on a Japanese truck, these aren't Phillips screws. Like, they're Japanese domestic standard or whatever that's called. So you need to go get one of these sets. And each one of these Phillips is a different size. You literally go through like sockets and find the one that fits best. That way you don't waller out your bolts. So if you're having a problem wallering out your bolts on Japanese products, that's probably because you're using an American standard screwdriver. I really love this tool, dude. You can literally just get right in there, put some pressure on it. Those pesky Phillips ain't pesky no more. The worst part about this is literally the screws are that big. And if you drop them in there, they are gone. forever. Also, if you're ever doing anything around a throttle body or a carburetor, it really pays off to plug this with a paper towel, because this same exact motor I have literally dropped. Like, I can't remember what it was, but I dropped it down in there, and thank God there's a heater screen at the bottom. But it took a fishing hook with super glue and a fishing line to go down there and literally hook onto it and let it glue and pull it back out. Like, that's how hard it was. I tried everything I could to get it out, and it was either take the throttle body all the way off or find a way to get it out. So needless to say, I got it out. As soon as I said that, I dropped my bit. Now I'm going magnet fishing. Thank God I found it. Now we're going to pop this little MAF sensor out of its home. Shouldn't be too hard. Oh yeah, she just popped right out. There's going to be an O-ring on the back of that. You're going to want to make sure you save that O-ring, just in case. Always save your O-rings. Visual inspection, it looks good, but that don't mean nothing with these dang new age electronics. By new age, I mean 1980s electronics. I'm going to get this clip off and I'll get back with you. I'm going to go ahead and keep the old one around. And I just wanted to say, like, this new part is so light, like it has no weight to it. And this old Nissan Hitachi part is like heavy as a brick. That's how you know it's good. So if this one still fails, I may go on the eBay and try to find a used actual Nissan one. But this son of a gun's made, what, 300,000 miles on this engine. It's been a good one. Still a factory part. Does anybody else wrap the old part back up, put it in the box, and keep it just in case, knowing that it's going to be on the shelf for 20 years and never get used, but that one day you might need it? Yep, I do that too. I had to put that bottom screw in by braille, son. I had to get this bit down in there all the way under there and then screw it in without dropping anything. That's a pain in the butt. When you install the new MAF sensor, you always want to make sure that you never touch the prongs of the MAF sensor on anything, because they're very sensitive. And there's a little O-ring in there that you're going to want to put a little oil on so it'll slide in good and stay lubricated. That way nothing messes up. The O-ring doesn't get caught and mess up the seal. Then you take all your screws and just hand tight screw them in. And then you're going to want to go around and tighten them in a clockwise manner. For those that don't know what this is called dielectric grease. And from back in my four-wheeling days when I learned this, if you get water in any of your connections, it'll mess the motor up. You have to let it dry out. I'm sure you all know what happens when you run through water with a motor. But if you put this stuff in all your connections, it helps keep the water out. So like, we used to sink motors with snorkels on them with water up to the dang hood, and the truck would never shut off. And this is the only reason why. We would go through and put it on spark plug boots. Every single electrical connection in the truck was just matered with this stuff. But it works, man. Moving on to the throttle position sensor, and the bolts for it are even harder to get to, so y'all say a daggone prayer for me. Trick I learned in the trade: if you have a very small bolt and you can't get your fingers back to where it's supposed to go in, old man taught me this when I was doing injectors on a 7.3. You pop that hose over it and then screw it in and then pop the hose off. The TPS on, got the MAF on. You can literally see how I hooked that piece of hose to that bolt way down in there to turn it. Now I got to hook a voltage meter up to this and adjust it, but other than that, we're pretty much done. I don't glorify cussing a lot of times, but this thing right here got some words out of me, buddy. I don't even understand where people are getting 0.51 volts out of these things. I can't get more than 0.39 volts. And apparently it's supposed to be 0.51. So if anybody knows how to adjust a TPS sensor on a dang TBI Nissan, put it down in the comments, because I need your daggum help. Dude, this thing is running like a damn sewing machine. Make love on top of that motor, son. Why do I let some things come out of my head? I need to keep my mouth shut. Thanks for riding along with us today, boys. Working on the old Nissan. She might need a plug or two. She's a little shaky, but she's still got the smog and the vacuum and all that crap on her, so we're going to have to do a delete on that. There'll be more videos to come. Thank y'all for watching. See you next time.